One of the best things I ever got from a toxic workplace was my best friend. Seriously. The job we both left, each other we kept. And I don't think I fully understood the power of my relator strength until I met Daniela. Welcome back to Woo Wednesdays, where I'm working my way through my Clifton strengths and sharing not just what they mean on paper, what they actually look like in my life. And today we're talking about one of my top 5, relator. If you have relator high in your Clifton strengths, you probably don't just want to meet people. You want to know people. There's a difference. Relator is drawn to close relationships. We tend to enjoy deepening relationships with people we already know. And there's something really satisfying about getting past the surface. And here's where I think people sometimes misunderstand relator. It doesn't mean you're shy. It doesn't mean you're an introvert. And it definitely doesn't mean you don't enjoy meeting new people. Hello, my number 5 strength is literally woo. So apparently Gallup looked at me and said, you want to meet everybody and then select a few for forever. Honestly, accurate. Woo does not equal relator. And this is where my woo and relator make so much sense together. My woo loves the room, new people, new conversations, new connections. I can walk into a room where I don't know anyone and think, okay, who are we meeting today? But relator wants to know, okay, but who are my people? Woo might open the door, relator decides who gets invited into the kitchen. And for years, I don't think I recognized just how important that distinction was for me until Westwood. When I was working as a high school counselor at Westwood High School, I met another counselor named Daniela. We were coworkers, but that alone wasn't unusual. I'd worked at other schools. I'd had colleagues I really liked, people I enjoyed working with. Some I was closer to than others, but this was different. That year, Daniela and I got paired to work together with the senior class. Basically, if it involved seniors, we were on it. And during one of our first presentations together, we started talking and discovering all these ridiculous little things we had in common. As we were presenting to the seniors, we'd be like, wait, you did that too? What? Oh my gosh. We have so much to talk about. And then in between sessions from the different classes that would come down, we would get to know each other even more. We'd both been cheerleaders in high school. We both went into college thinking we were going to be one thing and then changed majors. And then we discovered we have the same birthday, June 21st. Not the same year. I'm 1 year older, and apparently that detail matters enough to clarify publicly. But come on, same birthday. And at that point I was like, fine, you're mine now. And what started as 2 counselors being assigned to work together became one of the closest relationships in my life. She became my best friend. And there was something so different about getting to go to work every day with someone who really knew me, someone I trusted, someone I didn't have to perform around, someone who could probably look at my face across a meeting and know exactly what I was thinking, and vice versa. That's relator. It's not simply, I like this person. It's, you know me, I know you, and we've built enough trust that neither of us have to stay on the surface. Now, here's the irony. The environment that brought us together eventually became an environment we both chose to leave. And I don't want this episode to become about that workplace, because that's not the point of this story. The point is what we survived. We did it. We both eventually left Westwood, but the relationship didn't belong to Westwood. It belonged to us. And I think that is one of the most beautiful examples of relator I have experienced in my life. Sometimes a season ends, a workplace ends, a role ends, but the relationship was never dependent on the container that introduced you. Here's what I love about where the story went. We were both school counselors helping students. Today, we're both still helping people. We're just doing it differently. Daniela went on to become a licensed professional counselor and is at a private practice. And I became a professional certified coach and own my own business, Golden Hour Life Coaching. Different paths, same heart for people, same friendship, same birthday. And yes, I kept her. At its best, Relator gives us the ability to create relationships where people feel safe enough to be known. Not impressive, not polished, known. And that can be incredibly powerful in a friendship, in a leadership position, coaching, counseling, being on any kind of team. Because trust changes the quality of a conversation. When people know that you actually are invested in them, not just what they can produce or do for you, the relationship changes. And for me, that's a huge part of how I coach. I don't want to know simply what's happening in your life. I want to understand you, your patterns, your values, what lights you up, what makes you shrink, what you're saying, and sometimes what you're not saying. That's where my relator goes to work. But because this is Woo Wednesdays, we're not only talking about the shiny side. Every strength can get overused. And a relator can absolutely get in the way. For me, one thing I have to watch is, am I investing so deeply in the people I already know that I'm making it hard for someone new to get in? Because Relator loves history, trust, inside jokes, shared experiences, and depth. But sometimes that can unintentionally create a pretty high entrance fee for new relationships. And paired with woo, there's another interesting tension. I can meet lots of people, but that doesn't mean everybody becomes part of my inner circle. And they don't have to. Connection doesn't require access. That's an important distinction. So if Relator is one of your strengths, here's what I want you to think about. Who are the people in your life who truly know you? Not the people who know your resume, not the people who follow you online, not even necessarily the people you've known the longest. Who knows you? And maybe even a bigger question, who gets the version of you where you don't have to perform? Because sometimes we don't realize the value of those relationships until life changes the setting around them. Jobs end, people move, roles change, life happens. And then you discover which relationships were circumstantial and which ones were actually rooted. Westwood wasn't forever, but apparently Daniela was. And that is what Relator taught me. Some relationships aren't powerful because you have hundreds of them. They're powerful because somebody gets to know the real you and chooses to stick around. So if Relator is high for you, tell me in the comments. Who is somebody you kept from a chapter of your life that's already ended? Tag them if you want to give them their flowers. And if you're enjoying Woo Wednesdays, subscribe because we're working our way through the strengths, one story at a time. I'll see you next Wednesday. Con amor y luz.